Orlando Pirates. Now, we've been tracking this story initially. Andre de Jong concluded, done deal. Old story that the new story that we're moving to is now who could potentially make way. And we are being told that Mabasa, who's been absent for the last little while in a couple of matches, not played in a cup final on the matches before, enters the final 6 months of his contract at Orlando Pirates. As things stand, no official news around whether he's going to sign what would be tabled or whether he would be move on or whether Orlando Pirates would be even willing to let him go in the January transfer window. What we do know is that there is interest for a player who scored, 16 goals just 2 seasons ago and finished top goal scorer. It will be interesting how it plays out. And I want Mark Haskins to just rope him in here just to hear his thoughts on the potential exit of Tshegofatso Mabasa at Orlando Pirates.
Well, that's what I alluded to a couple of weeks ago when we learned about the interest of Andre de Jong, and obviously Tshegofatso Mabasa would be one of those that you would imagine might wake his way out of the club this season. Only playing 9 games in all competitions, scoring 4 goals, even though he hasn't had much game time. He's a proven goal scorer. When I look at his stats from last season, 48 games, 15 goals, 1 assist. So he's someone that knows how to find the back of the net. So I think it would be a big blow for them. But for the player himself, I think he probably needs to make the move.
Yeah, talking about moves, by the way, we will keep a close watch on the Tshegofatso Mabasa story as it develops. The other news at Mamelodi Sundowns, another one that we've stayed closely and watched it closely over the last couple of months, in fact. Thapelo Maseko was meant to move to Cyprus, but Mamelodi Sundowns telling his camp that no, he's in the plans of coach Miguel Cardoso, but if you look at the stats at the moment, he's hardly kicked the ball. Officially, his camp has gone back to Chlorkop to discuss a possible loan move, either locally or abroad. And that's another one that we will bring it to you as it happens. So you can expect Thapelo Maseko to move on from Mamelodi Sundowns in the next couple of weeks when the January transfer window officially opens. Let's roll the days back now to the FIFA World Cup. The draw took place on Friday. Bafana playing Mexico in the opening match, South Korea, and wait to see who in that FIFA playoff joins them in that group out in the Americas. Ronwen Williams reacting to facing Mexico, a draw that happened replicates 2010. Here's the skipper.
Yeah, amazing. Obviously, it's a replay of the opening game of the 2010 World Cup. Now roles are reversed. We're gonna be away, and obviously we know how difficult it is. But it's always nice. You want to play a host nation because then you get that feel, you get the atmosphere, you feel the electricity, the energy, and I'm excited and I'm happy. I think it's a good draw. I think it's one that people shouldn't look at names, but just know that them being there, it's going to be tough, and we shouldn't start collecting points before we do the job. We need to have that mindset, but also believe that we can go out there and give a good account of ourselves.
Now, the final story completely shook African football and the world at large to some degree. FIFA confirming over the weekend that they've held discussion with CAF, and guess what? They've decided, surprisingly, to agree that the clubs have been given the green light to only release players for the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations in 2 weeks' time, 7 days before the tournament starts. Unbelievable. 7 days before the tournament starts. I'm going to come back to Dr. Khumalo, but first here's Bafana assistant coach Helman Kelele saying, this is diabolical.
I would say it's totally unfair and also unacceptable, because when you look at it, you're starting to make, like assumptions, saying that, FIFA, it really doesn't take African football too serious as they do with the Europeans, So you're starting to feel that you are more or less important than the other nations or the other leagues, But I believe that CAF will also needs to make their point to FIFA, because it can't go on like this.
Doc, some even saying this is disrespect to African football. There's 7 days before the tournament kicks off.
Mazola, to be precise, I think CAF, they should learn that they need to protect African football. We understand that the bulk of players come from Africa, but also we have our own tournament that they need to respect. And CAF also needs to be very wary in terms of when and how do they stage this tournament, because it contradicts the contracts of the players that are playing in Europe. Now, when you look at it, you might think FIFA is the one that is at fault, but it's CAF. If they went to approach CAF then should have stood ground in terms of saying, no, we are starting this tournament on the 21st or whatever date, but players need to be released 3 weeks before or 2 weeks before, because what is the coach going to do in 7 days? But maybe on the other hand, it's good for Bafana because 90% are local.
That is true. 90% of Bafana players are local and they are in camp as we speak. But we'll keep a close watch on these stories and more. Keep it locked on sabcsport.com for more. I'll now hand it over